It's console Crapshoot, where we spin a wheel to play a random video game on original hardware. Excuse the voice, I have been sick all week, but Carl is a good nurse. I think we're ready to play something today. Let's see what the wheel gives us. Alright, we got the Nintendo 64. We've got 299 games on the wheel for the N64, and I feel like this system, while it has tons of classic games and it holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts, hasn't always aged well. Alright, Vigilante 8. I actually played this game quite a bit. I didn't have it, but my friends had it, and I rented it multiple times. So Vigilante 8 was one of the main games in the vehicular combat game craze. The most popular one you might know is Twisted Metal. The Twisted Metal series was on the PlayStation 1. When Twisted Metal got popular, a lot of copycat games sprouted up, but Vigilante 8 was one of the few of those that actually stood out. It was really good, it had its own fun, quirky personality, and it was really, really fun in multiplayer. Vigilante 8 was pretty funny. It actually took place in the 70s, so all the cars and all the characters are from the 70s, and although there's no official connection, this game actually is loosely connected to another game by the same company called Interstate 76. That released for the PC, and it was very similar. And actually, if you fast forward a little bit, this game engine that was used for Vigilante 8 and Vigilante 8 Second Offense, the sequel, was used to make a Star Wars vehicular combat game called Star Wars Demolition. But yeah, back to this game, it's pretty much what you would expect. There's sort of a quest mode, like a career mode, with some endings for each character. The characters are pretty funny. Each character has special moves. I was always pretty partial to this disco guy and the gremlin.
Oh, let's move to the groove.
And his special move, this disco ball would come down and start shooting lasers at everyone. There was tons of that sort of thing, very wacky, over-the-top powers. Just a super silly game, doesn't take itself too seriously, which I appreciate. The single-player mode is fine. It's a little boring, it can get a little repetitive, but you're unlocking new characters. Really where this game shined was the multiplayer. And that leads me to my opinion on what the best version of this game is. So there was a PlayStation 1 version of this game, and it was more or less basically the same, except it had one advantage and many disadvantages. And that's the character endings in the story mode on the PlayStation were actual movies. They were FMVs. And that's cool and all. The N64 version was only still shots, and that was a little bit lame, but really, how often are you going to watch those endings? The draw of the game isn't the single player, it's the multiplayer. So while it's cool that the PS1 had the FMVs, it only had 2 controller ports unless you had a multi-tap. The N64 had 4 controller ports. The graphics were a little better on the N64, especially if you had the RAM expansion pack. And there was this insane extra level that you could unlock. This level was sort of making fun of cutesy N64 platforming games. It doesn't feel like it belongs in this game at all, which is just really funny. So I have to say, you know, you can make the argument that Twisted Metal is better or not, and that's an argument for another day, but as far as Vigilante 8, the N64 version was way better in my opinion. The music is pretty bad, it doesn't quite fit. Like some of these levels you're going around trying to destroy other cars, and then listen to this music. It's not just that it's like 70s or disco-y, it's just bad. It's repetitive and kind of goofy. Also, upon revisiting this, I'm realizing that the AI in the game is really, really bad. So on the single-player quest modes, you have these objectives that you have to do. The objectives are pretty cool, but you can outsmart the AI pretty easily. If you're supposed to keep them from attacking something, you just need to go away from that something that you're protecting, and they'll just follow you. So the AI is terrible. The really fun part that I forgot about is when you beat the game with all the characters, you unlock this alien, and he's got his flying saucer car. It's definitely the best vehicle in the game. It's super fast and really fun to play the game with that unlocked, but completely unfair to use in multiplayer. The weapons are pretty cool. The special weapons are the best part. And the graphics are not bad. There's a lot of pop-in, but believe it or not, for this time, this looks pretty good, especially this Vegas level. Alright, so I don't know if it's because I'm sick or there's just not much to say about Vigilante 8, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut to the verdict on Vigilante 8 for the Nintendo 64. You know, this is a tough one because I would say that in the life of the N64 and at the time that this came out, this would be considered a great game. Easily at least a 4 out of 5. But you gotta take into account that we're playing it now, and you gotta consider if it aged well. It's still good, don't get me wrong, the humor's still there, the special weapons are fun, but I don't think it stands the test of time, unfortunately, as much as I loved it when it came out. If you and a couple of friends used to play this and you have nostalgia for it, if you bust it out, you're gonna have fun with it for about 15-20 minutes. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. That's still a good score, it's a good game. I think overall Twisted Metal is a better designed game, but this game on the N64 with 4 players games really can be more fun with the right friends. But what do you think? Am I way off? I know a lot of people out there would give Vigilante 8 a 4 or a 5. I can personally think of some better car combat games of this era. You probably never guess what my favorite one is, and no, it's not Twisted Metal. Points if you can guess it. I don't know what the points are good for, but you can have them. And yeah, that's it for this week. Another great pick from Carl. This one brought back some memories. And what do you guys think is better to get on this wheel? Games that bring back memories or games that are completely new that you didn't even know existed? I'm torn on that, but either one is good. Let's see what happens next week. See you then.